Welcome everyone to Live at the Emporium. It is lunchtime and you are watching Live at the Emporium special edition. And I hope I'm coming in through clear. And I'm thankful for all those people that just started to tune in. Thank you so much. Just so that anybody who's tuned in for the first time doesn't know what Emporium or even let alone Live at the Emporium is about. Just really quick. Emporium is a first, it's a U.S. based, first of its kind, Philippine-made product showroom and global business center. And its purpose is to create awareness and sales opportunities for Philippine-made products, services, and investments in the U.S. market. And what is Live at the Emporium? Live at the Emporium is a tool that we use to be able to do that, which is to promote, like I said, the Philippine-made products, services, and investments in the U.S. market. Our normal format is we do live demos, we have vendor collaboration, spotlight, and revisiting old guests, past guests to talk about their successes and their journey to go ahead and export products. But today it is a special edition. It's a special edition, and the title of the special segment, it is called Tips on How to Confidently Invest in Philippine Real Estate 2022. And what I want to do on this segment is more like educate. I want to go ahead and have this discussion with someone that I found very professional, very knowledgeable about the topic of Philippine real estate. What I want to do is I want to talk to her as if I'm really considering it, which I am, obviously, because of what's happening with my with the business. There's an opportunity to maybe invest or have second home and things of that nature in the Philippines. So there's probably a lot of people in the U.S. or people that are watching me right now who are thinking about doing the same thing. The pandemic has given you sort of rocked the boat a little bit in the traditional thought process and where to retire, where to live. So this message and on these tips are I'm going to target that message to retirees in the U.S. Who want to go to the Philippines, digital nomads. You can work pretty much anywhere now these days, or you just want to invest in a developing country like the Philippines. So that's something that I want to go ahead and emphasize in this discussion. And my guest Hazel Gendrano is amazing at that. She'll give us tips on how to buy land property, real estate in the Philippines, and she'll give us scenarios, real life scenarios, past customers, and what they had to go through, and some of the concerns that when someone like me thinks about something like that, how do you guide me through that whole process of doing that? It's one thing to really look at the property because there's amazing properties in the Philippines, but it's more about how do you do it? How do you walk around and think about, okay, fine, you thought about it, but now what's the first step? You don't want to be taken, buy the wrong things, buy too expensive, all that good stuff. So without further ado, because we have a lot of topics that we want to discuss, let me go ahead and introduce the Senior Regional Director of Ayala International Sales. I'm glad to have her here, and hopefully she keeps coming back and gives tips on how to do this. Let me go ahead and welcome Hazel Gendrano of Ayala Land. Hi, Hazel.
Oh, and good afternoon to all.
You were muted there for a second. So how are you? You've been on sort of a ever since you got here last week, you've been on a really sort of a whirlwind schedule in terms of trying to go out there and spread the word about Ayala in the Philippines, right?
Yes. Hi everyone. I'm Hazel, and I'm very happy to be with Ferdinand this lunch time. I'm also here in California, but I'm here actually in our San Francisco office right now. But looking forward to be live in person at the TheEmPHorium office next week.
Well, I'm excited for you to try to visit it and really go ahead and see what the product is, what we're trying to do as far as investments, products, and services. Now, for this segment of Live at the Emporium, Hazel, I said to you that we should just have fun. We should talk about all the different past transactions you've had, all the good and the bad, pros and cons of how to do all that. And I'm hoping that we could just take that sort of an attitude with it. So now, before we get into that, right now, the Philippines, I always want to know, like, for example, right now, there's an amazing opportunity. I want you to talk about, maybe touch on, the currency exchange rate, right? And then what's the condition, or rather the current market in the Philippines from, again, casually. We don't have to do numbers if you want to. It's just more like these are just thought process that I want our viewers to just maybe consider because that helps them a lot. And then again, based on past performance, I want to go ahead and for you to talk about all the problems that people have had in buying property in the Philippines, as well as the wins, the good part. So why don't we go start with that? Tell us a little bit about what you do with Ayala, right? And then let's start
Mhm.
get into some of your past customers.
First of all, we're very happy to be back here on the ground in the US and to visit most of our clients and our friends in the industry who have been really wanting a lot of information about our latest developments back home. So we usually visit the US and other countries. And thankfully, we were able to also start visiting other countries like Singapore, the Middle East, after the pandemic. That's why there's really been a lot of clamor getting information from us because we know that it's still different if we see them face to face to be able to transact. But during the pandemic, we've been really, really busy doing all online transactions as well. And because we know that everybody wants to take advantage of the opportunities when it comes to our properties back home. And as you know, Ayala Land being the lead developer in our country, we have a lot of exciting property developments in the most good locations where most our kababayans wants to be located when they visit the country.
You know what I wanted to ask you right off the gate, Hazel, is that okay? Why don't we take it like this? Like, okay, I'm talking to you. I'm thinking about maybe buying property there. Like some of the people that are watching, because that's how I promoted the segment that we're doing today. Make me feel better. Tell me about all the past customers that you had. I know that I've asked you to maybe mention two or three. Like what did they do? What were they looking for? And how did they go about and eventually finding Ayala property to be the one that they ended up buying. But it's not about the Ayala property. But what I want to know from you is that what do you think are their challenges? What did they what kind of scenario was it?
Well, before I go into that, Ferdinand, actually, whenever we visit, we make sure that everybody's updated when it comes to what's happening in the Philippines and why would you really want to consider buying or investing a property for yourself now. Number one, of course, the dollar has been very strong over the peso. That's why for those who have been really wanting to consider this would be the best time because the exchange rate has really been stronger for the dollar versus the peso. It's now at 57.9 as I've seen yesterday in one of the remittance centers of one of the offices here. And secondly, we have different profiles of investors. Me being in the industry for more than 17 years, I've assisted clients who have retired in the Philippines. One is in the medical field. They wanted to have both worlds. They wanted to have the best of both worlds, being here in the U.S. and at the same time being in the Philippines during some months that they wanted to be back home. For some who is so used to the snow, they call the one that we call the snowbirds, who wants to be in the Philippines during the snow season here, while for probably for the Midwest and the East Coast areas, and wanted to make sure that they enjoy the beaches in the Philippines, but then they want to be in a condo right smack in the middle of the city so that they can also enjoy the perks of being in a city when it comes to staying in the Philippines. So that's one. I've also serviced clients who wanted to start early. Actually, they have not, they're preparing early. Maybe retirement will still be 15 years down the line, and then they wanted to position themselves early on in terms of having a place back home. At the same time, they still visit their relatives in the provinces. So those are the types of clients that we have serviced. No, in terms of other locations, what's good about Ayala Land is that we have a lot of properties to choose from. So those are some initial information that I can share with you, Ferdinand.
Oh no, please share, because the thing that I want to really get to drive home the message with is that, it's already a given that the brand Ayala is amazing. It's been around for such a long time, and you can obviously, it's a trustworthy, good image in the community in terms of what it's done for the Philippines, and not just developing land, but also some of the charitable work that you've done for the community or given back to the community. So every time you mention something regarding, a particular scenario, I'm just trying to sort of customize it for that new guy that's trying to go. I've heard of Ayala. Yeah, I want to go to I want to go to Philippines. I want to invest, because right now, for example, there's a lot of people who, like I said in the beginning of the show, who are thinking about going to the Philippines, because now with the pandemic, there's so many different options that you have now that are, somebody who's a digital nomad, maybe who wants to buy a home there, maybe live there in certain parts of the year. And that's somebody who now is thinking about it. And then somebody who's never thought about it like before. I mean, I've grown up here, but because of what I'm doing, again, that probably falls under the same category. I might consider it. And I think a lot more millennials are who live here, Filipino Americans in the US, they're starting to get a tug of the motherland, so to speak, right? And they
Right.
want to know, how to do it, and because they're seeing so many great pictures, the beaches and all of that. So again, as much as, I want you to continue talking about Ayala, I want you to know, give me a little bit more of how I go through that process of, about buying property. Again, you talked about the family, but is there any more situation that you could share with us, and some of their wins and losses, so to speak?
Actually, Ferdinand, it's good that you mentioned about being away from the Philippines already for a long time. No, we've also given and educated certain profiles, that they have been away from the Philippines, and yet they didn't know that there's a lot of progress in certain growth centers in the Philippines. And I'm very fortunate to be part of this company because we develop large tracts of land and develop it in different parts of the Philippines, not only where it started in Makati as a business district. We're not even now extending it to as far as Davao. We have property developments in Davao, in Cebu, and so you would really be surprised whenever you visit the Philippines. There's a lot of progress other than what we hear when you guys attend events at the Philippine consulates, and even hear good news about what's going on in the country. Part of what we do as we campaign for our projects and our properties back home, we also make sure that we give updates. We are aligned with how the news and the current events in terms of infrastructure projects are happening back home. That's why it will really make you more interested in terms of coming back home. And for some, there are also profiles of prospects that we have in terms of, you mentioned about the different generation. Other than the baby boomers, we also encounter the second generation wanting to know more about the culture. And, for those parents who position themselves having a property in the Philippines, they are able to connect their kids, their children, to the culture of the Philippines. We know that there's a big Filipino community here in the US, but it's still different if you bring your kids to the Philippines and immerse them and make them experience, the good life that we can also have in the Philippines. And of course, also having some realizations of their roots back home. We also have different profiles. I was really thankful to be able to service a lot of clients here in the U.S. in terms of making their children be more aware of the nightlife in the Philippines. When they were able to bring their kids in the Philippines, oh my God! One even said, sorry for the word, but one daughter said to her mom, "Mom, I'm so thankful you bought this condo. I can hang out and party in BGC, in Poblacion, and also I'm so surprised there's no APs in our condo. So that's really one of the exciting stories that I've heard from a parent wanting to let her daughter experience the Philippines. But other than that, of course, some of their kids would also enjoy the beaches in the Philippines. They make it a hub, and some would also go to other Asian countries whenever they take their vacation. But for some, there are others naman who are really, making time every summer here, and visit the Philippines during their vacation from school. That has been one of the trips. That's why there are even groups who organize visits to the Philippines, and normally they ask us also to give them a tour in some of our properties as they scout for what would fit to their requirements, because there are different reasons, of course, of any Filipino American who would want to have a property back home. Some would definitely have it as a retirement, but some would also want it, and most of you guys would also want it to be a rental income when it comes to buying condominiums in the Philippines. We really show some data in terms of our experience, and even testimonials of our clients who have previously purchased with us, and see how their property have appreciated over time, because most of our properties are on a pre-selling stage. And when you get the key to your property, of course, that's also part of the whole cycle of the service of the company, to make sure that you are able to get the proper turnover when you get the keys to your condo or your property back home. um, Another good thing about what we really do, other than being with a company, we know that anybody can really, consider any property. Just there's a lot of access to information already, like in the secondary market or other friends in the industry. But what I think will be something unique and a standout for a company is that we make sure that everything is in place. It's not just selling condos to anybody. It's it's a full line end to end. Coming in from our property developments, we even have property management company to help the residents, in terms of maintaining their properties and making sure that their properties are well kept in place. And in terms of anything that include that is part and parcel of your property taxes and all, is also guided by the property management team that we have. So that's why you see that we have a unique appreciation of value of property values in terms of our very own properties compared to our friends in the industry. You will really see how these properties are well kept. That's why when you hear about Ayala land properties, you will really see that there's a good return for any investor who wants to consider a property with us. Hello, Ferdinand. I think you're on mute.
See, you would think I'd be pretty good at that, but it's I still press the wrong button. See what I'm
It's
saying? It
okay.
happens to everybody. I told you it's ridiculous. I still do that. But no, what I want to do is stop you there and sort of interrupt you there and focus on what you just said. Um, Again, when I think of that's what's already amazing to me. When you think of buying property in the Philippines, Yala's right there, the top three, top of mind. Great advertising, all of that. So to me, that's why, let's just say I'm already there. I'm thinking Ayala, right? So when I do that, how do you know what how do you ask somebody what property they should consider buying? Like, how do you pre-qualify them? Because they may not even know. So do you go by, okay, where are you from, or do you want to live in the city? What questions do you ask them in the beginning to sort of kind of guide them in what properties maybe they should consider?
Right. Actually, we start off with what we currently have in terms of inventory, in terms of location. So at an initial onset, we show what's available. Like in Makati, we have actually, these are good opportunities because we know that Makati has been a stable business district, you know, and you can see that we're very fortunate that we still have inventory on some pocket developments that we have. But of course, you're right. We also ask where is the client from, or where are you from? But because some would really want to be closer to their roots. For example, I've serviced a client who really wants something in Cebu, and luckily we have an Ayala development right at the center of Cebu City, which is by the Ayala Center, Cebu. So it was easy for them to decide because it would also be easier for them to visit their relatives back home. But for some who are really deeply rooted to their families wherever they are, they find it really to also to consider properties in the province, but they still want a property in the city. That's why they want to have their property with us being rented out at the same time. So they make it as a rental income, and because we have good property developments located into the business area, wherein you can have a, a local rent the place, or even foreigners who visit the Philippines, because we're situated in good locations. So we have a very good occupancy rate as far as rent is concerned. And what's good about rentals in the Philippines is that we know that it's picking up again because after the post pandemic, and we have clients who have been renting out their properties even during the pandemic, and they would give us the feedback that, hey Hazel, my rent has increased already for the next contract. So it's a good sign that everything's coming back in the Philippines as far as the post pandemic is concerned.
No, I think a lot of the research that I've made so far, they're very bullish about the Philippines. Yes, I think if you're going to say anything negative about anything right now, I think there's sort of a global, dark cloud in most economy. But you have to move forward. But if you go back in past performances and what's happening now in the Philippines, obviously there's some hope, and that because it's a developing country, there's a lot of things happening, especially when you have a new administration. You have people sort of managing the COVID. Everybody's a little bit more aware of how to do that. Obviously, I mean, it hasn't gone away or anything like that, but they know how to manage it. So a lot of like you said, what's happening, if you read the market, it's starting to pick up. I mean,
Yes,
if you before the pandemic, obviously Philippines was poised to be sort of a jewel or a pearl of the Orient in terms of sort of investment. So that I tend to agree with that. So that's why I'm hoping that people that are watching this right now, they'll look at it and go really consider it. Not just from an investment standpoint, because we can look at this whole thing as saying, okay, do I just invest or want to live there? So going back to what I was telling you earlier. So now you've sort of pre-qualified them, whether they go to their province or they want to go to city, all of that. How does the whole thing, when it comes to buying it, in terms of financing? Because obviously you're going to get customers here that have bought a home in the US. There's a certain way of how they do it. It
right.
takes about a 30 to 45-day escrow to close a transaction. Sort of describe that process. If I find, let's just say it's me again, I find a property in the province, I love it, I'll buy it. So what's their options? How do they do that? What should they watch out for?
What's good about our properties is that mostly are pre-selling properties. So we have in-house financing to pay on installment the the equity portion before you make a loan with a bank. So let's say like 20% of it is paid on installment, and then the 80% can be loaned with accredited Philippine banks, or we also have banks here who are also giving loans to our clients. It's also a Philippine bank, but it's based here in the US. And we also have accredited Philippine banks who caters to our clients as well to help you loan with 80%. But what's good about it is that the initial equity portion is on installment, can be on installment, or can also be upfront, like 10% or even 20%. But it's really depending on the finances or the cash flow of a particular client. That's why we also cater to the different market segments. And I forgot to mention to you that whether you have different reasons for investing in the Philippines or buying a property for yourself as an end user, you can have choices from our different brands. We start off with our luxury development. We have under Ayala Land Premier. We also have our upscale development under Alveo. And we also have the Avida properties, which is our more affordable properties right at this market segment. So it really depends. It really depends on which properties that a particular individual, like you, for example, Ferdinand, would want to go for, like, for example, our Alveo property situated in Makati, because you may have relatives somewhere within the vicinity, but you want to be in the center. Going back to the topic on financing, so usually when you have chosen a particular unit to invest in or to reserve, you make a reservation and then you pay a monthly with us before you take out a loan of on the balance, which is at the end of the term. So since these are pre-selling properties, let's say it's being constructed for like 5, 7 years. So you pay on installment in 7 years, for example, and then the lump sum at the end can be either paid in cash or can be also applied with a bank loan. You're on mute again.
Yeah, I do that again. Okay. I guess I'm just hypnotized by what you said, that I did not want to make any weird noises in the background interrupted. That's why I was thinking, okay, I'm going to mute myself. Anyway, before we go back to that, I want to go ahead and acknowledge some of the people that might be watching. One thing that I pride myself with these live streams is that I try to interact with the people that are watching. This is not just about us talking. It's just
Nice.
you, whoever's watching, to comment. And if you have any question, feel free. If nothing else, just let me know where you guys are watching this currently. If you're watching it in the Philippines or you're watching it here during your lunchtime, what are you doing while you're watching this? It doesn't matter. I just want to know. And if you have any questions for Hazel, and for whatever reason, maybe you're shy to even type it in, go ahead and send us a message for any questions that you may have on the topics that we're covering. But if you have any questions now, please feel free to go ahead and ask, and at least just let us know where you're watching. Okay, going back to what you were saying, Hazel. Um, to me, I think that's amazing. As far as, okay, so now if I find a property that's currently available, fine. How long does that take? But if it's something that maybe you're just developing, I get what you're saying about the pre-selling. So can you separate that too? So let's just say, maybe I want to buy something in Makati and it hasn't been sold, but it's already made. How long does that process to acquire that property? How long is it in escrow? Is there such thing as escrow?
There's no escrow in the Philippines as far as pre-selling is concerned. As for your question, the challenge really is actually between something that's ready to be occupied and something that's on a pre-selling. When we do launch a project on a pre-selling stage, by the time that the unit is ready to be occupied, it's fully sold out.
Mm,
So at the same time, as the construction progresses, there are also price increases on the property. So that's why we encourage everyone to really consider on a pre-selling stage. And because it's a pre-selling and you are dealing with a reputable company like us, we make sure that everything's in place in terms of construction, and making sure that the integrity of the property and the quality of the finishes that we provide is in place. That's something that you may want to consider ahead of time before it gets ready for occupancy. Just like what I've previously shared with you before we started this schedule with you. We wanted to make sure that we show you some information about how our properties appreciated over time because of um, these were these were launched on a pre-selling stage. So you may want to consider that ahead of time because when we do have the property to be ready for occupancy, or it's already built, everything's sold out. So we rarely have um, an inventory that's available when you ask me, let's say, oh, I want in that building. Even if you ask for like a secondary market that someone, let's say a unit owner, selling it, you're of course the unit owner will be selling it at a profit already because it's an Ayala development. It's you wouldn't want to sell low. You wanted to sell it in a market value, which is much more expensive now. And at the same time, those financing, you don't have financing for those, unlike what we have on our pre-selling property.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like about it, because maybe I'm jumping ahead of what I want to talk, but since we're sort of doing a free flowing discussion about it, like for example, you just said something interesting. When somebody here in the U.S. wants to go ahead and buy property in the Philippines, some of them, yeah, they want to live there, but some of them may want to just do it as an investment, right? But in the same token, it's just nice to know that the value of the property is maintains itself, right? I mean, obviously, because of the market, maybe it took a dip because of what happened with the pandemic and all. But right now, I'm thinking to myself, I buy a property, let's just say in Makati. What you're saying is most of these properties, they keep their value, so that if I decide to sell it again, it I shouldn't take a loss. I mean, what has been your experience based on the value of the property keeping its value in terms of
Yes.
the ones that you've already built?
Actually, before we started, I got a call from one of my clients whom I've been servicing for 15 years, and she was
Hmm.
asking me about her property in Surrendra, because she doesn't want to sell it, uh, but she just wants to find out because it's paid for already and it's ready to occupy. She wanted to find out if she can have it assessed in terms of how much she can get an equity from, for because she's also investing in another Makati property with us. So that's just one experience probably that I can share for this afternoon. And
Hmm.
these are clients who have purchased their properties back when it was still being constructed. I'm pretty sure Serendra has already posted a brand of its own, being in BGC. That's one of our jewel properties in Bonifacio Global City, which is um, in Taguig, and it's a neighboring business district next to Makati. So it's in the other side of EDSA, in reference to its location, in reference to Makati. And these properties are pre-selling properties that we have been promoting back then. And now you can see that it has already gained so much value. And these are something that's why we also have new growth centers within the metro, um, that you may want to consider for some who are also looking into making an entry to be in the city within Metro Manila, because we know that there's a lot of progress in terms of our government's build project. The Philippines is in a golden stage of infrastructure, and we have like the Mega Manila subway. There's a lot of within Metro Manila itself.
Hmm.
There's the Estrella Pantaleon Bridge that eases traffic going uh, from Makati to Quezon City, for example. And of course, if you've heard about the Skyway Stage 3, that eases up traffic all the way from the south to the north. Uh, oh, I was really so happy when it opened during the pandemic because I was able to say goodbye EDSA for a moment because coming from Makati to Quezon City was only 18 minutes. While before, if you only take EDSA, it will really take you like going from LA to San Diego if you're looking at driving because of the traffic in driving distance. But what I'm trying to say is that we have good locations within Metro Manila also, like in Quezon City, that might be interesting for those who are just starting to consider an investment as well, but they want to be in the city. But we also have other locations to choose from.
I want to sort of do a quick, maybe not backstory, but sort of take back a little bit because there's a question that was just put on the screen. I just put it on there. And I told you that there's going to be people that are going to wonder how certain things happen in their experiences. But whatever comes, there's always going to be some sort of confusion or misunderstanding or anything like that. And that's why I did this, because I want to bring that out. Now, I'm going to read the question, and you tell me how. I don't know if you can read it, but it says, "I own a unit at the Aviva Towers turf. Lump sum was due
Okay.
at the end of the installment agreement, even though my unit was not completed. Maybe another year. Avita also doesn't offer leasing assistance. What
Oh,
you
there
tell me
is a
about that?
leasing. Yes, Avida has a leasing department. She may not be aware of it, but there's a leasing department that can help her in terms of finding a tenant. But in terms of the question about wait, I'm trying to read it, but it's a little small. Um, in terms of the lump sum due, yeah, you can if I may be able to help out whoever she is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
in
can't
terms I
read
can
that
give
because it just says
recommendation.
Facebook user.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
if I'm gonna go ahead and find out who she is, but this is what I'm saying, that I think this is why I love it, because I think if we can clarify a couple of things, a lot more people will definitely open their eyes and say it's
Yes.
great. This is what I
Yes.
wanted to thank you for that, but I don't know who she
Yes.
is at the moment until they go to another screen. So go ahead and
Yes, we are here
respond
to
to it.
help in terms of your questions about your challenges. If you are an existing investor or a purchaser or a client, we can make recommendations to you. We can refer you to the right department when it comes to your concerns. Because we created our Amicasa Processing Solutions. It's another company within the company that helps us in our back room in terms of customer service, and if they have questions about their existing properties, so we can definitely refer them to the right department when it comes to their questions about their properties if they have already purchased something with us.
I
it's
love
a,
that.
it's really about educating our market in terms of how to really be of service to you. Please, we definitely understand that some may have lost track of who assisted them when they were buying it. But definitely the company is here to be able to help them and continue the service to them even if they're out of touch of their property specialist already.
Well, that's why I'm excited that you're here, because you've been with Ayala for a while. You know the ins and out, what the good, the bad, and all that good stuff, right? Because
Yes.
every company is like that, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
I just want Emporium to come across, is for us to be able to sort of shed some light, because sometimes people, human nature, people jump the gun, and maybe it was misunderstood, or maybe just very straight up there was a representative that may have not known how to properly service that client. But that's part of every company. Obviously, Ayala has been around, and they've done a good job in creating opportunities for home ownership, for OFWs, digital nomads, or retirees. But at the end of the day, this is exactly why I asked you here, because you do have a lot of experience and you can really sort of not erase but kind of smooth out a lot of things and guide people to how to properly do it. Because like I said, it's compelling. It's compelling. You see
Yes,
the
definitely.
properties that you have in the screen, right? All beautiful properties. And if you still have this sort of strong tie with the Philippines, you want to invest there or live there. But people still have these hesitations because either they've had a bad experience, somebody told them something incorrect, and it just perpetuates.
Yes, actually, you know what? In terms of when it comes to your attraction or anyone's attraction to really invest back home, not just being an end user because you want a place in the Philippines because of your ties. Just to share the experience probably of our foreign investors, they really have an inkling of you know preference, more preference in terms of real estate. When it comes to Ayala, when it comes to real estate, they really associate Ayala land as their choice of property because even foreigners would buy floors as an investor. We've serviced that. That's why you know if they as a foreigner seeing an eye of opportunity in the Philippines, why not a Filipino American who still wants to look into the Philippines, as their home, as their second home.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that. Now I know who is the comment. Yeah, he did tell me about what his name is Tony Corcuera. Tony, thank you so much for watching. He's doing working lunch. I put the post up there. I'm glad that he tuned in because he did tell me about this, and I sort of completely forgot about it. But now that he brought it up, I'm glad I finally met somebody in Ayala that could help him, or at least answer some of his questions. The other thing too I want to get
And good
into.
choice of property
Yeah,
for
no,
Tony. Yes.
Tony's amazing. He's got taste. He knows what he likes, and he loves the potential of actually just living there, because I know he still works a lot here. I think Tony's a lawyer. I think I lost track of what he did, but he loves the Philippines in that regards. But he did tell me that, and I'm glad I'm able to maybe refer you to him or him to you, so that maybe you can answer some of his questions. Now, like Tony, okay, I'm gonna try to recall his situation. If I were like a Tony, then I wanted to buy there, but maybe I have a certain budget. Okay, I know before we were asking about okay, the property where you want to be in terms of the time, but what if I'm dealing with a budget? Okay,
Yes.
give me an idea of where, not the least, I don't want to say the least, but the most, I mean, I guess the least expensive out of all the different properties. What's that like, right? One, the price. But here, when you're buying property in the US, you're always thinking about the down payment, and then whatever, what's called the closing cost here, right?
Right.
So give us a sort of an idea. I'm not asking you to itemize it because I'll take another show, but if you could just give me a perspective on how much money should somebody have to want to do that, even though technically the down payment is an installment. But if they're doing their numbers, you got an accountant thinking about going to Philippines, give us some perspective on that.
Like for our Avida properties, which is one of our affordable brands, we have properties to consider, like the one in Arca South. It's about $120,000 or about that range in terms of price points. But in terms of house and lots, which is like our new valley, we have our Avida properties there of about $200,000, and you can do an installment on it for let's say 10% down or even a stretch down payment, and give you amortization of, depending on the project of course, but ranging from let's say 600 on the average, $600 for an example of an Avida property, for example.
Okay, that's
But
that's affordable.
of course you also want to be, let's say for example our latest Makati project, it's in Circuit Makati. It's around 220,000 for a studio of a 33 square meter property, and we have flexible financing now for a studio unit. Let's say we have a promo for a studio. For the first 3 months, let's say you have a down payment of 10% and 3 months installment. Let's say ranging from about $10,000 for the first 3 months, and then your monthly is about it's about $400 to $500 a month before you take on the balance. So that's just a top of mind, okay?
No, no, no.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
just an example.
no. I just want again. We could pull out the PowerPoint slide, which I was telling you that maybe we should or we shouldn't because it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
Because I'll go back to this stuff, but the reason why I'm not asking you to do the slides and all of that stuff is because I know that you're currently doing a lot of seminars and webinars
Yes.
to really discuss that. As much as I
Mm-hmm.
want to do that in the show, I want to just more focus on the behind the scenes, the concerns, and things of that nature. But yeah, so before, well, we're closing in on that hour, but where are you? Where are you going to be in the next? I know you're here. You came here. You got here last week, and you're doing some webinars talking about the different properties that Ayala offers. But where are you going to be in the next couple of weeks or days?
Yes, actually, this coming weekend we are still here in Northern California. We will be in Concord and Sacramento this weekend. And then before I drive back to Southern California, I will have my last presentation here in South San Francisco. And then we will also be in Palm Springs on the 2nd of October. And then we go to San Diego. So we will also have presentations in San Diego and Las Vegas towards the end of October. So for this visit, so we visit every quarter because we want to make sure that for those who are very interested, we want to meet you in person, and we want to make sure that you are dealing with the right people. We are here to be of service to everyone. We want to make sure that you get the right information from us. And we also have marketing partners who might be interested to also help us network to reach out to our kababayans, which is actually one good program that we have.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot
Mhm.
of people who love the Philippines. They want to support it. Maybe they're not quite ready to maybe move there by an investment, but that's another way that they could help Philippine Real Estate or Ayala promote and sell more of these properties. Like I said, once you do that, because obviously I've been in the community for a while, and I know that in the areas that you're going to, a lot of Filipinos there. But obviously, it's not just meant for Filipinos to just go there and do that. But I mean, the property, anybody who just wants to be in a tropical, sort of a paradise in terms of the beaches, the hospitality, the food, and the fact that right now the currency exchange rate is crazy.
Mm.
You could get so much more in the
Yeah.
Philippines, as far as that's concerned. I mean, we didn't even really technically get into that, but again, those are the things that's why I was asking you about money, about the way
Mm.
that's going to cost. Because if somebody can budget, because that $400 or $500 at least a installment, that's like a car, right? That they
Yes.
could here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, these days that's, I don't know what kind of car, because it's getting expensive, but that is a good amount to be able to divert it into doing some sort of real estate investment in the Philippines, and have something that you could leave your kids someday, just like what you were saying earlier in the show.
Mm. But we also have the luxury end. Just to also give an idea, for those who
Mhm.
are watching right now, we also have the luxury properties. That's why when you ask us about what type of property you want to be, and the size of property that you would want to consider, it really depends on your budget as well. That's why we want to make sure that we educate our market in terms of the type of property that we can also recommend to them, like being in a our Alveo properties that has good size, and and but they are situated in upscale location, but reasonable price as well for being a luxury development as well.
Again, if there's anybody watching that has a question, please go ahead and message us, email us at Emporium, and then I'll go ahead and relay the message to Hazel. Because I'm also going to be posting where Hazel, you need to give me the flyer on where you're going to be so I can post it.
Yes. Yes, I will
Where you're going to
definitely
be at.
share that to you.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that for those, we hope that we all take advantage of our presence here because we want to make sure that we provide you with the right information and we give you the the best opportunity that you can have as far as timing is concerned. Having you guys having a very strong purchasing power of 57 to a dollar. Yeah, we're very excited to give you all your options.
Yeah, because we didn't even get into, like I told you, there's so many information where if somebody's thinking about that, they can still tap into their equity here in the U.S. because obviously, even though globally there's been ups and downs, and everybody will tell you about how the real estate here in the U.S. I still think the U.S. So a lot of people have ample equity to be able to take some of that and invest in the Philippines in that regards.
Some
And
are
again,
doing that actually, yes.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how I think we should try to promote and teach people how to do that also. Because at the end of the day, it's not just an investment. Again, it's something for to leave the kids or a vacation home or anything. There's so many. It's just a matter of I think we got to continue educating and lean on that aspect of promoting Philippines, and which is to educate. Because the moment they educate them, just like here, people still go to first time home buyer seminar. They can go to
Mm-hmm.
Google, but it
I see.
doesn't. Nothing replaces somebody that they can talk to, just like you, just like with this Tony, just like with Tony Corquera, who's going to probably talk to you and give some guidance because it's still somewhat foreign to a lot of people, even though they're Filipino, they live here, they've heard of Ayala, they've been there back. They don't focus on that. They just know that I want to buy property.
Yes. So very excited to really be of service to everyone who would be interested because, I I would recall starting this career when the dollar was at 56.
Mm,
So I've had cash buyers also. So just to recall my experiences, Ferdinand, um like I've said, like I've told you before we went live, I will definitely make sure that everybody will be serviced well because the experience is very exciting as far as I know you've been a realtor yourself before, and
yeah,
you can really see the experiences that I shared with you is really something that has to be shared to everyone. So definitely we're very excited to be with you. My
hmm,
team is with me, who will be with me during our presentation, so I'll share the invites to you.
yeah.
Looking forward that we'll also have one live at the Emporium.
No, you're gonna come back again because you're gonna be. We're trying to build this component of Emporium where we're actually trying to invite SP Agbayani. I don't know, she might be watching, so I'll tell her now that I want to build out this side of Emporium where we do have people who discuss these things on a level of as if you're talking in your house. You're talking about different ways to maybe get in the Philippine market without having to make it too complicated because a lot of people, so I know a lot of people who are discovering Philippines again. And for the country, obviously, everybody is very hopeful moving forward with the new administration and things of that nature. So I'm excited. I hope you get to come back and we'll do another one. Maybe do a sort of a repeat one and me not doing the mute button all the time. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah, we'll do it again.
yeah, we'll
So
do it
because
again.
we know there's still a lot who might have missed us today,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and we definitely we can have another good conversation to share everyone what we sharing the experiences, sharing the ins and outs of investing in a property in the Philippines and being in the right property for yourself, and at the same time being in the right brand, which is our company Ayala Land.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, if, for everybody who, they just have to go Ayala, Google it, and then it's there. That's the beauty of who you work for. Hazel, everybody knows. That's why I'm saying to you that it's not that. I just wanted them to know from that perspective that you guys are there, very helpful in many ways too. So with that being said, it's 12:57.
Oh,
If there isn't any more last comments that you want to make, I'm going to end the show here. But again, please don't forget to send me like the flyer where you're going to be so I can do a pre-post of what we did. I'll send you a recording of this, and anybody who's interested in knowing more about Ayala property and the backside of buying an Ayala property, then please reach out to us, text us, email us, whatever you want to do in terms of connecting with us. But also that'll be relayed to Hazel. So
yes.
Hazel,
Thank you,
any parting
Ferdinand.
comments?
Well, while we are here in California, we want to make sure that we are able to help everyone. But of course, when we go home, definitely you can reach out to us in terms of asking us about our latest development. And one thing's for sure, you really want to have a piece of property back home if you're someone who has been considering to retire, to have the best of both worlds here in the US and in the Philippines. You want to be in Ayala community, and definitely we are here to be of assistance to you.
I agree. I agree, and I'm looking forward when you get come back. And for those who are used to watching live at the Emporium later on the afternoon, please stay tuned. Today we're going to have a special, again, another special segment where we're actually going to go to the Philippines and show some of the trade fairs happening there now. One is IFEX, and the other one is called Negros Trade Fair, which you're going to see some amazing product. Hopefully,
Ooh.
the internet doesn't have an issue, which that
Uh-huh.
could be challenging sometime. Other than that, Hazel Gendrano, thank you so much for being here, giving us some feedback, and we will see you again.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.